Hey everybody, welcome back to another film of the week. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. And this one is uh, keeping to the theme of Halloween and horror, and kind of getting our uh, our appetite whet, for the week of content that is to come. I figured I'd just talk about uh, one of the more notable slashers, because in my what I've seen lately week, there's a there is another slasher that I haven't talked about yet, and we'll be talking about that in those discussions. But for film of the week, we've discussed with Friday the 13th with Jason Voorhees, and now we go to the other side of the equation, Nightmare on Elm Street, which was of course directed by Wes Craven, who would go on to do the Scream franchise, as well as other films within the Elm Street series. Um, it's it's Freddy Krueger, as was it's Jason Voorhees, and then with the other person that we'll talk about in the series, um, in the what I've seen lately week. Um, it's it's a guy who kills you in your dreams, and he's has a hat, a certain motif shirt. He has these like fingernail thingies. He has a kind of an interesting look to him, and it centers around a couple of high school kids. One of which is played by Johnny Depp, another played by Michael Jackson. I don't know who the hell that is, but he looks like Michael Jackson. Um, and as is typical by slashers, they get killed one by one. Except that the difference between Friday 13th and something like this is that there is there's a thin there's a concept at play that sort of gives it more of merit than that of Friday 13th, which is this dreamlike quality. The idea that someone can kill you in your dreams. It's an interesting concept. Better than just some dude with a hockey mask just going around and killing people. Or at least as I found out with the first Friday the 13th, like some old lady who has nothing to do with the story until the very end, just killing people. Whatever. But with this though, I mean, it is a step up from Friday the 13th, but it isn't much. It's by concept, it's a little bit better. Um, like, I have my notes here. I'll just pull them up real quick, because there were some things that I was a little surprised by. For starters, what I expected was obviously its mindlessness. I mean, it's just very aimless. It's just this happens here, this happens there. I mean, it's all knowing because of the way that's set up. I wish that it was from a different perspective. I wish that we didn't know so much about Freddy Krueger and what he does. I wish that there was more of a mystery, that maybe she is crazy or this and that. But it's like we know that she's perfectly sound. So because of that, the overall presentation just feels quite aimless and quite just pointless in some measure. But there is some mediocrity there that I was surprised to find. There are like little points here and there that are engaging enough, and it's packaged within just tons of silliness. But sometimes that silliness offers some mediocrity within tons of aimlessness. So, another thing that I found interesting about it was that I can't help but think that this was the inspiration for It, at least the '90s It, that particular adaptation. I have a feeling that was an inspiration for that piece. Now I haven't seen the movie from beginning to end, but I have seen segments of it online, and it very much so reminded me of that when watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like, this reminds me a lot of It, the '90s version with Tim Curry. So it's just something that I just noted when I was watching the film. But it's pretty, self-explanatory, and also like thematically speaking, also it shares a lot of the same qualities that it offers, which is a lot to do about fear and how we prey on one's fear and how we, how we stare at the face of evil, developing courage. You know, very similar ideas also at play. So again, very, very curious to know if it perhaps was inspired by Elm Street. Um, Discussing the film proper, though, I mean, besides really what is straight-faced and simple-minded, I mean, that's the mentality that it ultimately bears, and most times what this genre is. Um, you get performances that are noticeably absent, particularly with the lead actress, who I thought was very inexpressive, basically terrible. Like many times when she's like crying and stuff like that, she looks like this the entire time, and she's having to talk very emotionally, and it's like I don't see any like expressions on your face. It's just very blank looks like this into the camera and talking very, very emotionally, hoping that it looks very, very impactful, and it doesn't. Um, yeah, that was pretty bad. Not as bad as her though. Um, maybe just as bad. I don't know. Um, but I mean, it was nice to see Johnny Depp. I mean, it was nice to see him. Apparently, this was his first role. Yeah. Um, I mean, it was nice to see him, and not at court. Um, but I mean, it's hard to judge it on its own because it's just such a it bears a lot of the mentalities of what slashers do. I mean, ultimately, Friday 13th, I would say, is like the the primary example of that, but it just bears a lot of the same mentalities and just the same approaches. Um, you know, it's mindless. It's pretty absent of real creativity, but conceptually there is something of merit. But the overall execution of said concept I felt to be just very thin and not as thick as say some the other slashers that have showed up in this genre, particularly within one that we'll talk about pretty soon on this channel. Um, so, so yeah, I thought it was just, especially that lead performance. I thought it was just not that appealing. So, um, but but I could see the fun factor. I could see if you just turned off your brain, you might find some appeal. This seems like something you could play like a party, in the background. Um, but it's not a film that ages well. I feel like it might have worked well for a certain demo at this particular time when it came out, but for today and just, I guess, just for my own taste, I just found it just very, just very, just very inexpressive, as is the lead performances. So, so yeah, I wasn't really that big on it, but compared to what I have seen in this genre, I mean, it's not Friday 13th, so, but it's certainly not the other film that I will be talking about pretty soon here. That film, I think, is in a different league compared to this. So that's ultimately the noise, and my overall opinion of the film. Um, so yeah, so those are my thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought it was, just, conceptually there's something there, but it's not being utilized in any creative manner. It's just like the ending literally makes no sense. It's just stuff just thrown together. It's just like, okay, how can we get that final shot of Freddy just killing someone like they always do in slashers, where it's just like, oh no, what happened to her? Like grabbing her face and all that. It makes no sense really, but so, but yeah, so that's it. Those are my thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, the slashers just seem very, they operate on a certain you know, there you go. They always operate within a certain mentality, and it's just, they always just seem the same, seem very similar by design. But thankfully, the one that we will discuss next week is actually much different. So, but those are my thoughts on the film, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the film in the comment section below. And yeah, so that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. And please be safe on Halloween. Please be safe. There's always weirdos out there, so just be careful out there. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.